So once we actually have permission from both eyes and the parts connected to both sides, then we actually engage in understanding what the topic and the presenting symptom is about per eye. So each eye is connected to a part or different parts. And so we invite each side to share with us what is it connected to? Because remember, we talked about one eye is connected more to the wounds and the trauma as if it's still happening, right? So it's connected to the past. And the other eye tends to be connected to how we've coped, how we've survived, and is more connected to the present. So you can imagine that each eye has a different perspective on the presenting concern. And so basically what we do in the compassion process is we first and foremost allow each side to give us a sense of, is it directly connected to the trauma? Or has it learned to cope with it by moving away from it, pushing through, minimizing it? And what we understand in the compassion process is that there's an internal attachment dynamic between the left eye parts and the right eye parts. And what we've discovered is that unfortunately, the way that the coping part has survived has often copied patterns from the external attachments. So if the external attachments have dismissed our pain, have hurt us in some way, didn't make us feel seen, or they were just absent and we just had to survive on our own, we don't have capacity to face difficult emotional experiences because we don't know what to do with it. So in the compassion process, we get to understand, how does each side still live with the particular trauma or attachment pattern per eye? And then we look at that through the lens of attachment internally. Is there an internal attachment dynamic that sustains the trauma? Because if I carry the wounds on the left eye, but my right eye engages constantly in minimizing and dismissing my own trauma, I actually re-traumatize myself on a regular basis because I still do not the care that I need. So in the compassion process, we look at it somatically, emotionally, attachment-based, and we provide basically, we facilitate in that process an opportunity to reconnect the left side and the right side parts by building an internal compassionate attachment so that we actually stop re-traumatizing ourselves first and foremost. Now, to just kind of stick with the chronic fatigue example, you would see that, for example, the left eye is absolutely terrified. It just has been imprinted to connect to the trauma and the attachment patterns connected to fear. Now, the other side has learned to dismiss fear and might actually really judge fear. And so that part is focused on moving on, pushing through, stop being such a whiner, like just, get on with it. And we don't realize that those dynamics actually sustain and make the symptom chronic. So in the compassion process, we create space for somatic healing, emotion-focused practices. We actually connect the left side and the right side through an internal compassionate attachment. And so that's basically a really big part of healing the symptoms. And there are advanced ways that once there is an internal connection between the left side and the right side, and we no longer have an internal wounding process going on, whatever is left symptom-wise, it could be shame, it could be terror, but it's now no longer because of the internal disconnect, then we can actually utilize very specific eye movements per eye. We never do any eye movements without A, permission process, and B, before we have actually established an internal compassion process. So that's a bit of a bird's eye overview of the compassion process.